I want to say thank you very much to Pastor Okali for the special invitation for me to come. He's the one who called and invited me. And also for the special introduction that he has done. I want to say thank you very much to New Life Church for considering starting and maintaining the special needs ministries department in the church, to the extent that you have leaders who are coordinating that program. So we want to say thank you very much for what you have done. We have also heard among your outreach activities, you're also moving around and visiting, especially the ambassadors and the youth, ministering to some of the Adventist special needs schools like Kakima. And so we want to say thank you very much for your active participation in that. The pastor has indicated that today is a global Adventist possibility ministry Sabbath. You go to many places, many churches, you find they have replaced it. And so you go there today, you find other activities taking place. And so special thanks to New Life Church for giving this day from Sabbath school, divine service, even the afternoon to Adventist Possibility Ministry. The title for the presentation today throughout the world is Created with the Possibilities. Created with the Possibilities. And that's under Adventist Possibility Ministry, which is also known as Special Needs Ministry. We use the two names interchangeably. You'll hear us talking about Adventist Possibility Ministry and also Special Needs Ministry. The theme for today is a ministry restoring dignity, hope, and a purpose to persons with special needs. A ministry restoring dignity, hope, and a purpose to persons with special needs. And as you know, this is the newest ministry in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You go to the current church manual, you'll not find it there. In the current church manual, you'll not find it there. But in the 20th edition of the church manual, which was voted last year, 2022, is now already printed. I know even pastor has not received a copy. I myself has not received a copy, but it's already out. You go to page 92 and 93, you'll get this ministry mentioned there with what it does, and the people are supposed to be chosen at all the church levels. And so we say this is a ministry restoring dignity, hope, and a purpose to persons with special needs. And when we talk of those persons, people may feel it's other people, not us, because we are not in it. But I say all of us are candidates of special needs. All of us are candidates because anytime anything can happen and we become persons with special needs. I know there are some of us who are already taking care of parents who cannot wash themselves, feed themselves, and the parents who cannot even take themselves to toilets. And if you are doing that, you are part of the ministry because you are a caregiver. And that's one of the categories which is considered under Adventist Possibility Ministry, because we are caregivers. I've indicated that as we get old, we may end up also being special needs. And most likely, if we don't die early, if we end up dying of old age, a time will come when somebody will have to minister to you. And so if there is a time we have to start learning about special needs, it's now, because our parents are heading there and we ourselves also are heading there. And so if there is a ministry restoring dignity, hope, and a purpose to persons with special needs, That's a ministry we need to know and understand. We say this is a ministry whose time has come because it was not there in the past. And the way things happened, even without committees at the division level, general conference level, church level, union level, even without actions of those committees, the ministry just came up because the church recognized the need of these persons, the blind, the deaf, those who cannot walk, and we found that they are in the church. And we started ministering to them. And the church now recognized these people are there, and we have to start to have a ministry ministering to them. The key verse has been presented or read to us, and it's found from the book of John chapter 9, verse 1 and 2. And it says, as Jesus went along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? When I was reading this verse, I was wondering the world view of those people, because I know it is written in the Jewish context. And they are the ones who are asking this question. Who sinned? Was it this man or his parents? And they knew this man was blind from birth. And they are asking this question as if somebody could sin even before they are born. Somebody can sin even before they are born, because we are told he was blind since birth. But we are going to follow up and see the world view of the people to whom Jesus was ministering. We know at this time there was no understanding father, mother, or close relative standing with a man who was blind. But Jesus was there, standing near the man where those who saw blindness and not man's possibilities. But Jesus was there. The parents were asked if the man was born blind, but Jesus knew why they were asked. There is more to the story that calls us to hear what Jesus said and did. By listening to the story, we learn at least 3 timeless truths from Jesus as the story is told in the Gospel of John. Number 1, faith works to develop possibilities in others. Faith works to develop possibilities in others. Number 2, faith in those who are different from us is abnormal. It's abnormal to believe or have faith in somebody who is not like you. And there are so many contexts under which we can explain this. And more so, if you know somebody is blind, for you to reach an extent of trusting them. Somebody is deaf, and then you reach to an extent of trusting them or having faith in them. And so we say, faith in those who are different from us is abnormal. So if you have faith in somebody who is different from you, then you are not normal. There is some extraordinary power working through you. Number 3, faith expands possibilities to reach others who are not like us. Let's try to go to the first point. Faith works to develop possibilities in others. John chapter 9 begins not only what the disciples think they see, what they think they see, but also what they don't see. John chapter 9 verse 1 and 2 says, as Jesus went along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? We say it was no coincidence that Jesus and his disciples met this man as they were traveling. It was God's plan. Jesus was mentoring his disciples, and this was necessary if they were to be his inclusive leaders when he is gone. They needed to see others differently from the way their culture had told them. Jesus took the initiative in drawing attention to the man who was blind. This was a moment that he would not let pass. Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. As long as it's day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I'm in the world, I am the light of the world. Jesus saw more than the man's blindness. Jesus saw more than the man's blindness. And that was his leading his disciples to see. When they see blind people, deaf people, they should not see only that disability. And that's why we're saying Jesus saw more than the man's blindness. Suffering is not always due to sin. That's what Jesus is telling them. And this blindness is not as a result of sin either, in the man or his parents, as the disciples try to indicate. Jesus saw how the works of God could change his life. The night of blindness could be changed and be changed by the light of the presence of Jesus. Light can replace darkness. That's what we are learning. Even as close followers of Jesus, the disciples needed to see differently. And that applies to us also, church members. Church members. We know we are also close followers of Jesus. And so we need to see people differently and things differently, because they have a value which is only God who places upon them. They and the Jewish leaders failed to see difficulties as opportunities, challenges and disabilities as opportunities for grace of God to be manifested. Such insights will take time to learn, but Jesus never gave up. For such a cause, he came to minister. What happened next was a truth taken from the creation in Genesis, because Jesus took dust from the ground. And you remember when he was creating Adam and Eve, he took dust from the ground and formed the first human beings. We see him repeating the same exercise here. He took dust from the ground, made some mud with saliva, and put it in the man's eyes. That's according to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. He was told to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. And John the disciple points out that the name of the pool actually means sent. And even before Jesus sent this person to that pool, meaning sent, that pool already was named sent. And so it was just waiting for the master to send that person as indicated in the name. Something which is emphasized in the book of John. Not only did the man's blindness leave, but the eyes of understanding of Jesus' disciples were being opened. That time we know, even though the disciples were seeing, but they were blind, and so they needed this experience so that they can start seeing things the way Jesus saw things. They can start seeing people the way Jesus saw people. The Creator God had come to heal, restore, send forth hope for all. Jesus, who could see so much more than suffering, sin, and rebellion. When we look around in the world, what do we see? What are we seeing? Are we seeing the world the way Jesus sees it? Or we are seeing the world with our limited vision? Jesus today is ready to open our eyes and start seeing the world, start seeing people the way Jesus would see them. And so we have said Jesus, who could see so much more than suffering, sin, and rebellion. We are reminded that Christ can look on the mystery of the world without a shade of sorrow for having created man. Can look around, see so many people are suffering, so many people are blind, so many people who are deaf, and yet not be sorrowful for creating man, because he knows where he's leading us, where he's leading man, and the way he's ready to transform them, even if not now, but in the future when he comes. If you go to the book of Isaiah chapter 35, verse 5 and 6, it says when Jesus comes, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the lame will talk, even the dumb will talk. The deaf will hear, and the dumb will talk. That's Isaiah 35, verse 5 and 6. That great transformation. Meaning the current status of people is not permanent, because when Jesus comes, everything's going to be changed. In the human heart, he sees more than sin and more than mystery. In his infinite wisdom and love, he sees man's possibilities. And no wonder the department which for long we used to call special needs ministry, the world church looks closer and saying, let's just not see the special needs. Let's see the possibilities in these persons. And the department now was renamed and even this possibility ministry. He knows that even though human beings have abused their mercies and destroyed their God-given dignity, yet the Creator is to be glorified in their redemption. And we know that redemption is not far from now. When he comes, things are going to change. Number 2, faith in those who are different from us is abnormal gift. That one I try to explain. And we say, seeing the possibilities in others, as Jesus did with a man who was blind, is a gift made possible only by the Creator. Inherent in everyone is the image of God. It's inherent in us, and is the studied purpose of Satan to hide and malign that image. And so if you find yourself despising persons with special needs, looking down upon them, not even giving them time in the church to share their experiences, just try to check who is in control. Is it Jesus or Satan whose purpose is to mar the image of God? Jesus speaks of Satan as one who came not only to steal and kill, but also to destroy. It's not only physically that Satan seeks to destroy us. He does it through vicious stigmas. And you talk to people with special needs all the time they say they are stigmatized. And we are working to try to remove that stigma. Because if you know the names which you call them, the way we treat them and such, without trying to see what we can do to exploit or bring up the possibilities that they have. And so we say, he does it through vicious stigmas that depreciate their value or worth of an individual. Innocently, the disciples of Jesus did this by echoing the ingrained beliefs of their society. What they just indicated is what their society believed. Who sinned, this man or his parents? Anybody born with any deformity, they believed there is sin behind it, either of the parents or the person himself. And the disciples who ought to have known better, you will see the question they are asking. Who sinned, this man or his parents? Can we also be in the same category or stage with the disciples, asking the same question? Who sinned for this person to be blind? We have seen our blind brother singing some songs here. We have seen some deaf people here being signed for. And the question, who sinned? That's the question which they had, and a question which we need to move from In doing so, they cast doubt regarding the moral worth of both the man and his parents. Are they immoral? Because if there was any sin involved, what type of sin? Did they commit adultery for that son to be born? What was their moral standard? What was the moral standard of this person? A person who might never have stolen, maybe never worshipped idols, committed adultery. A person who has never dishonored his parents, but somebody is implicating that this person is a sinner. And the moment we see them as sinners, then we consider ourselves as holy, more righteous than them. I am righteous because I am whole. I have no blindness. I have no deafness. And for me, I am righteous. For them, they are that way because they are sinners. That's the way what Jesus is trying to uproot from his disciples, who are supposed to take over the work from him when he's gone. The tender healing of the hands of Jesus carefully formed the mud that was placed upon the eyes that had been blinded from birth. Can you imagine the thoughts of Jesus as he did so? Taking the mud, making it, and placing it in the eyes of this person. Adam was formed by his hands. But then he believed the lies of Satan. And that's why we are in the category where we are, suffering. Nevertheless, Jesus had come to restore the plan he had from the beginning. A home with him without pain or suffering. And so he's showing that example by restoring the sight to this person, that he has come to bring a new phase of life, where if we believe and trust in him, when he comes, things are going to change. What an amazing sample. It's no wonder that much of Jesus' time was spent with those who suffered. Some time ago, I was here again with Adventist possibility leaders in the fields and the conferences, and also from local churches. And we made this statement: count all the miracles of Jesus in the Gospels, in the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All the miracles of Jesus. Total, they are 37. But out of those 37 miracles of Jesus, 27 of them touched on persons with special needs. That's over 77% of miracles of Jesus were on persons with special needs. So Jesus put a lot of focus and a lot of emphasis on persons with special needs. He spent a lot of time dealing with them and relieving their suffering. And so if he spent so much time with these persons with special needs, how much time we as pastors and church elders, deacons and deaconesses, and church leaders, how much time are we supposed to spend with those people? Remember, I said when Jesus comes, their status is going to be changed. But go to the Adventist churches who are waiting for Jesus Christ to come. Even knowing when Jesus comes, the status of these people is going to be changed. But you find no blind person in those churches, no deaf person in those churches, no persons on wheelchairs in those churches. And then you wonder, what type of Jesus are we waiting for? Is it the same Jesus who is telling us to move out and bring these people to the church? Because when he comes, according to Mark chapter 16, verse 16, he who believes and is baptized will be saved. He who believes and is baptized will be saved. So Jesus is waiting for these people to be brought into the church. They believe in Jesus. Then they are baptized. And when he comes, their status is going to be changed. The question would be, if he comes today, how many people on wheelchairs from Newlife Church will be restored? Then they start leaping like deer. How many blind people, their eyesight will be restored? How many deaf people? I know there are some, not many. I did not see many today. I know there are others who have gone to other places. But we need to do more. If when he comes, he's going to change their status. He does not want to find them in the streets. There are so many of them on the road up here, near the city mortuary, begging. I know they are making money out there. But some of them need to hear this message, that you are not bound for that wheelchair forever. When Jesus comes, your abilities will be restored. What an amazing symbol. It's no wonder that much of Jesus' time, that's what we have said, faith in God does not come quickly or easily. We see this in the experience of the man who was healed. We know when he was asked, who opened your eyes? Who opened your eyes? You can see the stages under which his faith is built. When he was asked, the first response was, the man who healed me. To him, Jesus was just a man. And so the response was, the man who healed me told me, and then he explained. So Jesus was just a man. The way Jesus is just a man to so many of them out in the streets, but he needs to be a man who can change their status. When he's asked again, that person is saying, because he was so told, now this person is a sinner because he healed you. I believe it was on Sabbath. He should be a sinner. Then he said, if he's a sinner or not, me, I don't know. But he should be a prophet. Now he's changing from the man who healed me. Now he's raising his status up a bit and said, then if he's able to heal me, then he should be a prophet. That's according to verse 17. Then he continues and to answer again in verse 33. He should be from God. Because you who are not from God, you could not restore my eyesight. But if he restored my eyesight, he should then be from God. They are ready to condemn him, and this blind person is giving testimony. This person should be from God. And from verse 35 up to 38, we see this man, when he sees Jesus in the temple, he is expressing his gratitude by worshiping and adoring Jesus. He sees this is not an ordinary human being. And so, you see the development of his faith. First, he's just a man. Second, he's a prophet. Third, is from God. Fourth, is now bowing to worship him. Seeing possibilities in others is a gift that God is willing to give to his followers. It's a gift that is sorely needed in the world of comparisons. Do you know you are able to compare those who can walk, those who cannot walk, those who can see, those who cannot see, those who are bedridden, always in bed, and those who are not bedridden? Yes, comparisons, criticisms, and hatreds of all kinds. That's the world in which we live. Faith, however, is not scared by those obstacles, nor by degrading stigmas. Faith is not scared, even if we are stigmatized how much. Faith is not scared of that. It's ready to raise up above that, above those stigmas. Nevertheless, we must not remain silent. When we see people being stigmatized, we must not remain silent. We should speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. We should speak up. More than advocacy of rights. You know, we are talking of human rights, people's rights, animals' rights, rights of the people with disabilities and such. But we need to go than that advocacy, and we need to be seen doing something about it. Somebody said, if we wish to do good to souls, our success with these souls will be in proportion to their belief in our belief in and appreciation of them. Let me repeat. If we wish to do good to souls, including those who are differently abled, those who cannot see and those who cannot hear, if we need to do good, we wish to do good to souls, our success with those souls will be in proportion to their belief in our belief and appreciation, the way we appreciate them. If they show, they see that we are appreciating them, then they'll trust in us, they'll have faith in us, and then they'll come to church. I've said there are so many of them in the streets here. And you try to bring them to church, now they may not come because they have never reached a stage where they can trust us. And we need to move to that level where they can trust us. Respect shown to the struggling human soul is the sure means through Christ Jesus of restoration, of self-respect to the man who was lost. The man who was lost. Our advancing ideas of what he may become are a help we cannot ourselves fully appreciate. That's a statement. And those who have screens nearby, you can see the statement. We say, faith expands possibilities to reach others who are not like us. That's number 3. Faith expands possibilities. And we are talking to you. And that's why we have this APM Awareness Sabbath, to try to expand possibilities of our church members to start reaching out to those who are not like us. We say faith sees far. For us, we can just see here, see the disabilities, but faith sees far. And we need to reach that stage where we can also start seeing far. In John chapter 9, we see 4 different reactions to Jesus. 4 different. Same action, but people reacting differently. 4 categories of people. The neighbors, they revealed their surprise and skepticism. Neighbors, they were surprised. This man can heal. That was surprise. That was one reaction. The Pharisees showed disbelief and prejudice. That's the Pharisees. The parents believed, but they kept quiet. They believed because they know their son was born blind. And they are not even ready to state it. They say it's of age. Can you ask him? The parents believed but kept quiet for fear of religious and social rejection. But when it comes to the healed man, he showed consistent growth in his faith. The man who healed me is a prophet, he is from God, then he worshipped him. Each reaction to Jesus aided the man in his search for who he was and who his healer was. He did not know him at first. He was just a man. But when he came into close contact with him, he knew him, then we see his reaction now was no less than worshiping Jesus. In Jesus, he found a dignity that was there all the time. A hope that was greater than he had ever experienced. And a renewed purpose for living. From that moment, his purpose for living was renewed. There are many of them who want to commit suicide because they don't see any need of living. Why am I alive? Like this, always being carried, always being fed. People cannot do things because I'm here. They have to be around me all the time. They don't see any need of living. But we need to give them hope that regardless of their situation, there is one who is ready to change their status. If only you believe in them, and then you are baptized in him, and then you are baptized. He had lived with a limited horizon, but Jesus gave him more than eyesight. Gave him a purpose of living. He gave him a faith that could live despite mountains of prejudice, that stood in the way of him seeing any more than his disability. That's what he saw. But after meeting Jesus, he saw more than the limitation that he had. In every human being, he discerned infinite possibilities. He saw men as they might be, not the way they are, but the way they might be, transformed by his grace in the beauty of our Lord and our God. Looking upon them with hope, he inspired hope. Meeting them with confidence, he inspired trust. And revealing himself man's true ideal, he awakened for its attainment both the desire and the faith. In the world today, it's estimated that there are over 1.2 billion people with special needs out of the 8 billion people. Out of the 8 billion people, over 1.2 have special needs, or what we may call disabilities. We need to recognize everyone is needed, is gifted, needed, and in need of love. And not only recognizing, we should be the ones who to offer this love to these people on the behalf of Jesus, in the behalf of Jesus, because that's the purpose for which he called us. Stigmas have isolated the deaf, the blind, and those with the physical and mental challenges. Orphans and widows often feel isolated and less than appreciated. Satan has come in to stigmatize, kill, and steal from each one of us God's purpose of our existence. We are called not just to minister by ourselves, but to join with others to share the story of wholeness in Jesus, where they can hear, see, walk, or talk. We are called not just to minister to ourselves. And that's why I said we need to move out and bring more, because Jesus wants to find them in the church. Here, if we are not reaching out to them, you go to a church, you find none of the people with special needs. No, those people are ministering to themselves only. In the logo for APM, the logo for APM is a church structure made of 4 blocks like a puzzle. 4 blocks like a puzzle. And it's made in such a way that you take away 1 block from that church building cannot stand. Which means if you take away any category of persons with special needs, and even those who without special needs, you say we need a church where we don't have persons on wheelchairs, a church where we don't have blind people. You have taken away already 1 block, and we say that church cannot stand. We are called not just to minister by ourselves, but to join with others to share the story of wholeness in Jesus, whether they can hear, see, walk, or talk. As one author puts it, there is no disability ministry if the disabled are not ministering. There is no disability ministry if the disabled are not ministering. And let me tell you, New Life Church, you don't have a disability ministry in your church if there is no disabled person who is ministering. If you have no blind people who are ministering, some of them are deacons, others are deaconesses, others are leading the ministry. In the book, in the church manual says it is recommending strongly that the people leading this department should be people who are in that category. If you can have a deaf person to lead the department, or a blind person, somebody on a wheelchair, somebody walking on crutches, that ministry will have more and a greater impact. But if it's only us who are able, who are leading, And when we go to the committee to speak to them and plan for them, you don't find a blind person in the committee. You don't find a deaf person in the committee. There is no person on a wheelchair. Then we start to plan. How are we going to construct our church? Then we want to construct the church building and the parking just for normal people who have no disabilities. But if you have somebody on a wheelchair in that committee, he'll tell you how they expect persons on wheelchair, what they expect in that building, what they expect in the toilets, what they expect in the sitting, in the way we sit. They will speak out. What do the blind expect? What do the deaf expect? They will speak out. That's in the current church manual now. Remember I've said, as one author put it, there is no disability ministry if the disabled are not ministering. Pastor, check. Check on the people who are leaders in your church. How many people with disability are among those? Are there some church elders who have disabilities? Are there deacons and deaconesses? And I like that the way the new church manual has done it now. They have added an additional responsibility to the deacons and deaconesses. They have been told your responsibility, additional responsibility, is to take care of persons with special needs. That has been added as another responsibility for deacons and deaconesses. So when they come, if they need to go to the toilet, some toilets you find they cannot even reach there. It's you to ensure where they are going to relieve themselves. I went to another church somewhere where I was training, and getting out of the church building, I found somebody has relieved himself. Somebody has relieved himself. I passed there just about 20 minutes before. Then passing out again, I find somebody has relieved himself right at the back door. Right at the back door. I did not leave it there. But coming out, I found it there. Then I asked, who should have done this? Looking at it, it's a mature person, a grown-up person, because you can tell. And then I went back and just congratulated that person. I said, I don't know him or her, but I want to say thank you very much. And I called the elders and the pastor. Pastor, do you know why this person did it here? And that was on the way to the toilet, but it was just out there. Do you know why he did it there? Because he looked at the place where the toilet was, he was creeping on his knees, and he found that he cannot reach there. And he could not stay with that inside him. He had to relieve himself. I said, you did well. And from that time, those people said, we are going to change even our structure, because we can see now, when we are doing our constructions, we don't have those people in our minds. Let me move on. Sharing is, faith is for sharing. During the persecution of the early church, there is this person called Lawrence. And I wish we can be like this person. I admire him very, very much. This is a time for persecution. And the persecutors come. He was a deacon in the church of Rome. This is for all the deacons. This is for all the deacons. Deacons and deaconesses are the ones who take care of the church treasury. And so they knew the right person to go to. And so when they went there, he was ordered to bring the treasures of the church before the emperor. It was an order. Go, bring the treasures, the silver, the gold, all the precious things in the church. And this deacon went out and collected the poor people, the sick people, the lame people, the elderly, and the disabled he could find. And then he took them to the emperor. And he said, see, here are the treasures of the church. See, here are the treasures of the church. You deacons, in case somebody comes with a gun and tells you, can you go and bring the treasures of the church? I know you'll be rushing to the safe where money, offerings, and such are kept. And yet you forget so many other treasures of the church. Even those are not the real treasures of the church, because those things will never go with them to heaven. This man goes out and then collects the poor, the sick, the lame, the elderly, and the disabled he could find, and took them to the emperor. See, here are the treasures of the church. We don't know what happened to him, and most likely he was tortured. He was probably killed. But he had made his point that those with his disability are the treasures in the church. But where are they? Out there in the streets. But they need to come in. The compassion of Jesus leads us to see one another differently too. The Apostle Paul concluded, so from now we regard no one from a worldly point of view. And we don't want to have this Adventist Possibility Ministry awareness Sabbath, and we live the same as we were. We need to go to what Paul says. From now, we regard no one from a worldly point of view. Though we once regarded Christ in this way, we do so no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Yeah, the new creation has come. The old has gone. The new is here. Every part of the body of Christ is needed to carry God's mission forward. No one should be excluded. All are gifted and needed to share this end-time message of hope and purpose. People who may have a disability are still God's treasures and his disciples from this mission movement. As Jesus demonstrated and Paul preached, we must regard no one from a worldly point of view. When our thinking is transformed, we will think differently. We will believe in the possibilities that God has given to each one. This is my appeal. The doors are open, and the people are waiting to be welcomed into the house of God. Let them come. The blind with their white canes, those on wheelchairs, and the people with necessary behavior modifying medication in their bags. Rejoice. And as some walk slowly, but observe as all are moving towards the kingdom of God, where there will be no more pain or sorrow, where there will be no one with special needs, where we'll all be changed into the perfect reflection of the Master, who cautions us today, as you did to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me. That's Matthew 25, verse 14. Just a few pictures here on the impact which this Adventist Possibility Ministry is having. To those who can see the screen, you can see those people. That's from Rwanda. Those are people since they were born. No pastor has ever told them that they can be baptized. And yet we read, he who believes and is baptized will be saved. He who believes. And they were giving testimonies in this meeting. I was there. They were telling us, Pastor, you are the first person to tell us a person like me who cannot even take themselves to the baptist pool. I have to be carried. You are the first person to tell us that we can be baptized. And you can see them being carried into the water to be baptized. And coming out of the water, as if all the burdens from them had been lifted. Because now they have believed in Jesus, they are baptized, and now they have the assurance. Should Jesus come in time, our status is going to be changed. That's another one who had to be carried on a plastic seat like that one. Pastors, I know, when you went for training, you are not taught how to baptize people without legs. You are only used to baptize people who can walk themselves. Even deacons and deaconesses are not trained how these people can be baptized. But we had to train them. And now you can see how inventive they were. They are carrying this person. What you see in red there, those are not legs. Those are artificial legs on him. And he's happy to be baptized that day. Since he was born. Some of them are over 50 years. Others are very old. This is Tanzania. You can see that one. Since he was born, he has never been told that he can be baptized. And it took those 3 strong men, because he's also a big person, to bring him down to the pool and have him be baptized. And that was one of the joyous moments when this person was baptized. This is another lady who is being baptized in Tanzania, just because we told them they are needed, because their condition is not permanent. When Jesus comes, they are going to be changed. This is another one in Kinshasa, Congo, being carried into the pool because they cannot walk down the pool. In Kinshasa, you can see all these persons are on wheelchairs. And this is a very special church. The only one we have in ECD. And it could be the only one in the whole world. Where, when the deacons are arranging the chairs, they leave a whole row like that one there. A whole row, a whole side like this one here. They say we don't need to put chairs there, because the people will come with their chairs, will come in their chairs. And I was wondering, should we get about 10 persons on wheelchairs or 20 persons on wheelchairs in the church? When they come, they will just say, this church is full. But those deacons ensured that a whole side like that one, there are no chairs. And so it's for them, when they come, they have their own person who arranges those wheelchairs. And this is a choir, if you look at them. This is a choir for persons on wheelchairs. And they are in uniform. And last month, when the General Conference went to DRC, this choir was one of the special choirs which presented their song on that to the General Conference president. They are the ones who presented in their uniform, on their wheelchairs. Some of them have never walked, but they were happy. This Uganda Union. The people you see there are all deaf. All of them are deaf. And we spent a week just talking to them. When we made an appeal, 14 of them were baptized. And you can see the happy faces when for the first time they are being called to be baptized. This is in Burundi. All these are deaf people. And we had another church which was also ministering to the deaf people. And the pastor of that Sunday keeping church did a mistake, but it was not a mistake. It was God's provision. He brought all the deaf of his church to our Adventist camp meeting. And we taught them for 1 week. When we went, we made an appeal for them to be baptized. All the members of the church of that pastor, they gave their lives to Jesus, and they said they want to be baptized. Because even he himself, he has never told them that they can be baptized. And they were baptized. Then news released to the leaders in the church that all your church members have been baptized, so you have no church. So now they called the pastor for that special group and told him, if you come back without those people, know that you have no job. And those people refused to go with him. They said, from today, we are Adventists. And so that person lost his job. These are the ones who are being baptized in Lake Tanganyika. That's in Bujumbura. 42 of them were baptized. A whole Sunday keeping church for the deaf were baptized. This one is in Kisumu. 2016, where we brought all of them from Kenya to Kisumu girls. And 98 of them were baptized. 98 of them were baptized. Just a short video clip. I'm checking the time. A short video clip on what happened in Kisumu. What happened in Kisumu? Yeah, those are deaf people there, singing and praising God. Over 800 of them in that meeting. And you can see them being baptized. Larry Evans, the leader, giving them certificates for doing Discover lessons. And you can see what took place. This Larry Evans, the leader of that department in the General Conference, is the first one to lead and event possibility ministry in the General Conference. And you can see there, he was with that, and how happy he was in Kisumu Girls as we were reaching out. That was the largest of the gatherings of the people with the deaf. Now this person, young boy, a cerebral palsy. We told them to bring other people with special needs, and they brought 10 of them from Mombasa to Kisumu, almost 1,000 kilometers. And all of them were baptized. That's a group he brought from Mombasa. Somebody with cerebral palsy. Because Mombasa has given people with cerebral palsy to minister to others like them. And you can see the results there. You can see the results there. This is Kisumu. What happened? So many of them being baptized. And they were happy because they were never told such persons can ever be baptized. Be baptized. That's Richard Mutai doing one of the presentations in Kisumu. Yeah? Because we say we need to give them opportunities to minister. Remember that statement which we read? And this is what we are emphasizing. Let us choose them. Let us involve them. Let them be elders and leaders and deacons and deaconesses. They can collect offerings. And when we are doing employment, some of them are good cooks. Others can clean the compound. You don't know how much they can do. Quite a lot. Quite a lot. Those are deaf people praising God. These are choir from Eldoret, Sunshine Church, with their uniform. And they are persons with special needs. Now this recently in Nakuru, where again we had a large gathering with the people from South Africa, West Africa, and ECD. Over 78 from foreign countries, over 700, and we baptized 77 of them. If you look, Lenza is there. She's now the one interpreting. That one in yellow, that's Lenza. The meeting was so big that we had to have 6 interpreters at a go. 2, 3 of them in the front, one there, another here, another there. And in the middle, one there, another one there, and another one there. These are miracles. Because they had that, they also are members of God's kingdom. And they are being invited. And they came. These are the leaders whom we had in Nakuru training us. This is recently in West Kenya Union Conference. On 21st February this year, they gave 64 wheelchairs. West Kenya, they identified those people and they went and acquired wheelchairs. Now they are distributing those wheelchairs to people who needed them. 64 of them. And same time here in Nairobi, that wheelchairs were given. And on 9th May, that's about 2 weeks to come, we are distributing 184 in Migori. 184 wheelchairs in Migori. What do you say? Yes, that's God working. That's God working. That's God working. And you can see those who received the joy they had. The joy they had. This is 21st January again. The rally for special needs in Nairobi. Majority of you were there. Over 300 attended in Karura. This lady, you know her. As I am speaking here, she's also speaking Karengata. Her name is Princess. She was a Muslim. When she saw in the mosques, there is no service for such people, she joined the Adventist church. And now she's one of the motivational speakers. She cannot walk. She's always on that wheelchair, as you see. But she's working with the media and doing very, very well. I know, when we had training, she was here. I don't know whether she has ever visited here. If she has never, just call her one day. She will give her testimony. Here she is testifying how she got married. A good, young, lovely, and Adventist young man. Did not do like what others do. If you are a father or a parent, and you see your son bringing you a person on a wheelchair, and then she is requesting you to go and visit her parents, few parents would accept. Or say, no, not in my home. If you want to marry such a person, find your home. We don't want this person who cannot walk, cannot stand and cook, cannot do what and what. This lady is giving testimony. A fine young person saw her. They talked. They went to the parents, and the parents agreed. She got married. And here now she's telling us, Lenza, you are there, how she became pregnant, and she gave birth. She thought it was through cesarean section. But when the doctors checked, they declared no more birth, and she was not scared. And she's happy. The way she is, she was able to give birth normally. This is what we need. We were in Uganda just last week. And those people told us now, can you talk to our fathers and the church elders? Any moment they hear somebody, a young person is courting a person with a disability. Even some pastors go and discourage them. That's what in Uganda they were telling us. And this was a lady, a very beautiful lady, but she has a problem with the one leg. And said, I'm also cute. People come to me when I go to my father, church orders, they tell the master, young man, no, that's not the person to marry. Then he asks, who is going to marry us? If you church, we cannot accept us to be married. This is Kakima School for the Deaf, and I made a statement that some of you have made this an outreach center for them. Can you identify that picture, some of you? How many of you are in Kakima? Can you raise up your hand and you are here? You can see yourself in the picture? Even you from the media, you are there? Yes. Yes, I can see you in the picture. Can you raise your hands? We want to say congratulations to your ambassadors and young people for identifying this school as one of your outreach activities. And somebody told me one of you met another person in Europe, the member of parliament. You can try to imagine. He's not doing it in Nairobi, and in Kakima, he's meeting the member of parliament for Kakima in Europe. And he's telling him, you now been to Kakima in your school, which is in your area, your constituency. And then he's surprised. You mean you have been there? And that person came from Europe straight to the school and asked, now, how can people from Nairobi be moving from Nairobi to come to my constituency and they minister and I've never been there? I want to say thank you to whoever met that member of parliament in Europe and talk to him about Kakima, and now you want to do something big in that school. Thank you to these young people. They belong to your church. Congratulate them, commend them for the good work. These are the things which they brought. You can see the things they brought to Kakima. Very many things there. And these are right up from the church elder when he saw what you from the New Life did. And I was told, you said that's not your last time. I was told even the pastor, I don't know whether it's Pastor Kali, my friend, or another pastor. They told me even the pastor said next time he's going to Kakima with ambassadors. What do you say? Don't go alone. Go with the elders and go with the deacons. Go with other people. And they will be changed the way these ambassadors were changed. Now this Tanzania, I just want to move quickly. Blind people. You can see that picture. All these women are creeping to the church. Creeping to the church. And instead of creeping on the road, we better have them creep coming to the church. This is a wedding for two people in wheelchairs. Their parents consented and they got married. Now they have their first baby, and the man is on a wheelchair, he cannot walk. The woman is on her wheelchair, she cannot walk, but now they have the fatty baby and they are very happy. You can see the woman, the way she's smiling there. This is Southern Sudan, some of without legs, others what? We baptized these ones in River Nile in Juba. You can see that picture there. This is Ethiopia. This is Ethiopia. This husband and wife, both of them are deaf. And the church refused. They said, we cannot baptize you. Because the policy is, we teach you first. And we don't know your language. And for 5 years, they refused to baptize her. And I went there. I had to go to the president of the union and said, this lady needs to be baptized. But luckily, the young son had grown up, and so he was an interpreter. So they were taught, and last Sabbath but one, this family was baptized. I told you about the church manual, the new one, the 2022 edition, which is 20th edition. And this is what the church manual says about special needs. Page 92 and 93. Get it, read it, you'll be changed. This is my pledge. And I think already many of you are converted. And if you feel that you are converted, that we need to do more to persons with special needs. If you feel that we need to do more to persons with special needs, I'm requesting you to stand. If you feel that we need to do more in reaching out, because the Bible is telling us when Jesus comes, their status is going to be changed. If you feel you need to do more to persons with special needs, Jesus died for them, the other way he died for us. And he needs to find them in the church so that he can change their status. Thank you very much for those who have stood. And I'll ask Pastor Kali after the closing song, you are going to pray for these people who have stood up. Can you say this pledge after me? Just say the pledge after me. Are you ready? Are you ready for the pledge? Even the pastor says, yes, I'm ready. Okay. I pledge to conquer every barrier that prevents anyone, including those with special needs, from coming to Jesus to be part of his family. I pledge not to ignore any man, woman, boy or girl who has a special need, because special needs ministry is a ministry whose time has come. Help me, God.